I can't remember a year like this when I feel so optimistic about three freshmen being on the preseason first team. Like and I've seen these kids over and over and over. That's the beauty of it, right? Since they're 15 years old, I've seen AJ Devonta and Boozer, and I saw Darren Peterson for 2 summers. So I feel pretty good about it. But I'm gonna lead off right now and say, hey, all three, Cam Boozer at Duke, AJ Devonta at BYU, and Darren Peterson at Kansas are all on my first team, and I didn't even flinch putting them there. Didn't even flinch, not for a minute.
What
Why am
about
I
though
crazy?
but Jeff, what about like I understand your logic, but there are upperclassmen that have been first team All Americans that have to be there. You can't be a first team All American and then take them off. Like Braden Smith and JT Toppin are locks. And then you look at some of the other guys. I hear you, but I think it is so unfair to the guys that are returning that have already done it and have a proven track record. Those three could easily be there. I'm not saying that, but I think
No,
that with
Braden
some of the
Smith's
guys coming back,
there. Braden Smith's a lock. Like if you don't have Braden Smith on, you're out of your mind. Okay.
yeah,
JT Toppin, we'll see. The complexion of
he
that
was a
team
first team All
changes a little
American.
bit
He was an
too.
All American last year.
Sure. That doesn't mean
So
Cam
you're
Boozer
an All
can't be
American,
better.
but I think as an upperclassman that's done it, they deserve the respect to be there again. You cannot, I would never take somebody off of an All American list in the preseason who was an actual All American for their body of work. That is not right. That is not right.
McCall?
Yeah, I think too. Because we were going to get into the freshmen, I didn't have any of them on my team.
Okay.
I was just let's talk about those guys in a separate light. I also went with some guys that, look, I'm with Robbie in terms of Braden Smith. He's a lock. I agree with him on the JT Toppin stuff as well. But I went with some names that like probably neither one of you are even thinking about. I mean, Otega Owe at Kentucky. I think SEC preseason player of the year. Zuby Ejiofor for me is there,
Yep.
1,000%. And then two guys that I put on my list that are flying under the radar in terms of All Americans. I think Donovan Dent, what he's going to do out at UCLA, coming out of what he did at New Mexico, is there for me. And then Tommy Houck. I mean, this guy, all reports coming out of Gainesville, him playing the three is not a problem. He's going to play some four. I mean, the and one in the national championship game changed the complexion of the game. I mean, I saw him at SEC Media Day. You didn't see him, Jeff, because you guys decided to dip out early and skip out on the second day of SEC
That
Media
sounds a
Day.
lot like Jeff.
Yep.
That sounds a lot like Jeff.
But that guy looks phenomenal. So I just, I went a little different. Braden Smith's there, JT Toppin's there. But Donovan Dent, to me, I think they have UCLA has a legit chance to get to the
How
Final
does
Four.
Florida math work? Are there six guys? When I ask you for five, and last I checked, Braden Smith, JT Toppin, Zuby,
because
and Houck.
JT Toppin's not on my list.
But you said he was.
Because I agree. I can't change picks
right.
mid-show.
All right, I'm crossing
Toppin
Toppin
an
off.
argument that my friend is making. Notice how I called him my friend.
I'm crossing Toppin off.
Yeah.
Toppin's off your list.
Wow.
All right, Hummel, who you got? Oh, so right. McCall's got Braden, Owe, Zuby, Dent, and Houck. Who do you got?
I've got Braden Smith, JT Toppin, Yaxel Lendeborg, because I think he's just going to ball at Michigan this year. Yeah. And I went Cam Boozer, because I think Duke is going to have a heck of a year, and he's the ultimate winner. And I know it's just an exhibition, but look at the numbers he's already putting up against Tennessee team.
Yep.
And then I went Darren Peterson because I think that his usage is going to be crazy. I think he's going to have every opportunity to put up crazy numbers. Bill Self has kind of built the hype train by saying he's the most talented freshman maybe he's ever coached. And then my kind of like, I did a next five too. I had DeBansa, I had Trey Coffin-Wren, I had Donovan Dent, Darian Williams, and Zuby Ejiofor. If you put DeBansa in there instead of Peterson or Boozer, I'm fine. He's like freaking Tracy McGrady. Like that's like his build, But with that being said, DeBansa's also got Richie Saunders. Like BYU has a lot of good players. The kid from Baylor that transferred over. Maybe his numbers get stunted a little bit compared to what Darren Peterson's going to do. But any of those guys I can get behind. But I do think you've got to have Braden Smith and you've got to have JT Toppin because they've already done it.
Listen, at the end of the day, one of those guys, if not two of them, will make it at the end of the season. They'll be All-Americans. As long as, knock on wood, they all stay healthy. I'm pick two. They'll be there. Pick two. Which two have the best season? Is it Duke? Can they get back to the Final Four? Where does BYU's season end up? Where does Kansas end up in this whole mix? Pick two. Two of them will be on there after the year. 100%.
I'm just not sure I've seen a kid come into college like Cam Boozer. And I know that sounds crazy.
Well, he's a winner. I mean, he's just a winner.
He wins and he produces every game. I've never seen the kid have an off game ever.
Yeah.
And he
the
doesn't
last time
play.
You saw a freshman in an exhibition game, their first game in college, leading the huddles.
Right.
Yeah.
When does that ever happen?
I know.
Most of these freshmen are just uber talented, right? To where we had Brad Beal at Florida. It was, him and Austin Rivers, 1A, 1B. Who was the best player in the country that year? But he was kind of walking on eggshells and not wanting to lead in timeouts. To where Coach Donovan eventually had to be like, dude, speak up, talk, you're the guy, you're the man, And to see that was just wow, how impressive.
Jeff, do you think that maybe some of the Cam Boozer, I don't think he's maybe getting the hype that a Debanza or a Peterson is getting? Is it because he's just so fundamental, almost like a Tim Duncan, Duncan level of impressiveness of dude, this guy is just destroying us, but he's not doing anything crazy flashy. Whereas if you watch Peterson, you watch Debanza, those guys make some plays where you're like, holy shit. I kind of feel like that's where maybe he's getting. And granted, he's 6'10", he handles, he can shoot threes, he does a lot of awesome things, but it's maybe not the flash or the pizzazz of those other two guys.
No, the Duncan comp's great. It's actually really good because he's very understated, like Duncan, right? Doesn't want any attention, doesn't yell, scream, doesn't do anything crazy on the court, right? Fundamentally sound. Now, he does more, like you said. He's expanded his game where he could step out and make threes now. Not a great, athlete, but an incredible positional defender. Incredible.
And this is probably a good segue to our next topic in terms of freshmen. We may be talking about Cam Boozer in a different light if he was in the situation where Cooper Flagg was last year, where there's just not that many other guys like them on that level. Whereas this year, you've got Debanza, you've got Peterson, you've got all A-cup. You have these guys, these freshmen that are getting ready to go in here and impact all of these teams at a high level. Yeah. And last year was really
one guy. Yeah.